Thank you, Madam Chair. And I want to thank our witness for staying up until 9:30 p.m. to accept and analyze the just-in-time delivery of our bipartisan letter with 16 Republicans and 16 Dems on it that French Hill and I prepared. I want to make sure that you understand what the meaning of that letter is. It is not that you should stop working on the market reforms in parallel with 605 upgrades. Our intention is that you actually get the 605 done so that you have upgraded reporting of quality of order execution and so on, and have that in place so you can have a look at the data, then finalize the market reforms and watch, hopefully, the quality of order execution improve. And so just the meaning of the letter is to sequence those in that way, but not to cease all work on planning and so on of the market structure reforms. So just please read that, the end of the first paragraph carefully. One of the reasons it was late is we did a certain amount of wordsmithing to get that right. So, and I also want to comment a little bit on you were on, it was on your shift when we had the flash crash, right? And you were running the CFTC during the flash crash. And I remember when we had a hearing maybe 4 days afterward. The CFTC had, the night of the flash crash, 30 people with the entire trading history with that on their laptops figuring out what the heck happened. And 4 days later, the SEC, which did not have a consolidated audit trail-like structure in place, was still collecting the data to figure out what the heck happened. And so I think that is why we should not lose sight of making the consolidated audit trail, a success and really do it. And I think that's a separable discussion from the beneficial owner and cybersecurity issues there. And in particular, last time, one of the ways that I raised with you last time we were in front of our committee here, I asked you about the possibility of actually using the consolidated audit trail to simplify much of the reporting requirements under Rule 605, so that instead of making it a requirement of every one of the bazillions of companies that would have to do it, that you'd simply use the fact that the consolidated audit trail has the information necessary to make a public report of quality of order execution for the different brokerages. That you could simply have either FINRA or some competent private subcontractor like S3 or similar, just have them write a piece of software that is run that provides this report based on the consolidated audit trail. This would actually relieve the regulatory burden on a lot of the market participants and get something that was guaranteed to be, an apples to apples, well-defined comparison of the order of the quality of order execution. Have you had time since we spoke on this to have put thought into that idea and see if that's a useful way to simplify and speed up the 605 reporting?
One, I want to compliment you on your excellent memory of 13 years ago, and that when I was
it was seared in pain.
What's that?
It was seared in pain.
Seared in pain.
Like
it was the very next morning that the CFTC had all that information, and the SEC did not. In terms of you're raising an idea as to whether the consolidated audit trail could be used for data about the quality of order execution. And though it's possible that technologists could figure and sort that through, that in and of itself would raise costs and benefits as well. And as everybody has encouraged us to always look at cost and benefits, I would just say currently market participants, brokers, can quantify their order quality. That's what this Rule 605.
That's right, but then you have to make sure it's an apples-to-apples comparison. They will have an incentive to not quite, if there's an ambiguity, they will resolve it in favor of making their numbers look good. You're going to have some of your employees looking over that. Whereas if you just say, okay, find a competent entity, like S3 seems to have a pretty good market share of doing that already, or FINRA, to just write one piece of software, make it public, run that piece of software in the consolidated audit trail so that everyone understands exactly what numbers are being reported.
The one thing is the consolidated audit trail does not capture and compare, the orders, like you bought something on a Tuesday, or you put an order in and here's the actual quality. So it would be bolting more requirements, I think, onto the consolidated audit trail, but we can follow up and just
No,
talk further.
I think it actually could.
The gentleman's time's expired.